United States Air Force as Vice President. I just read in the paper, Joey, you traveled 1,200,000 miles on Air Force. He said, big, I won't quote him exactly. He said, big deal, Joey. He said, we just had a retirement dinner in Newark, New Jersey. He said, just had a retirement dinner. You know how many miles you've ridden? I said, no, Angie. He said, 1,320,000.
A ton of views about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. You don't want to miss out on this, so here it is. Gas prices are continuing to rise again, and now, many advocacy groups are urging the president to take action, executive action, and send out inflation relief checks to Americans. This could be a one-time payment for so many people. New stimulus checks worth more than $400 are going out to hundreds, if not thousands of people. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry announced that applicants who chose direct deposit will see their checks within 10 days. The Minnesota Governor, Tim Walz, said at the Direct Payments and News Conference on October 3rd that I'm grateful for the work of Minnesotans did to help people across the state today and stay healthy and safe through the crisis. Frontline workers are an important part of our fabric of our state and help us continue functioning during this time. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry announced that applicants who chose direct deposit will see their checks within 10 days. However, you could see your payment within 3 to 4 weeks if you chose to receive the compensation via debit card. Applicants who applied should have received an email informing them if they were approved or denied for the one-time payment. And the temporary commissioner of the state's labor department said that the industry and the money is subject to federal income tax, but not the state income tax. And lower gas prices in Minnesota, along with cheaper used cars, slowed inflation for a second straight month. But new inflation reports have actually painted a far rosy picture as many other items increased in prices. Consumer prices surged 8.3% last month, down from 8.5% from a year-over-year increase in July. Inflation is still painfully high as food and energy prices remain volatile, but is down from the 4-decade high of 9.1% in June. In the Midwest, inflation rose to 8.1% in August of 2022, and used vehicles are declining, but still remain about 7.8% higher than as at this time last year. Airfares are declining as well. As major oil companies actually plan to slash production, U.S. gas prices may rise again, with some states potentially feeling the burn more than others. The Alliance of Oil-Producing Countries announced it will cut production by 2 million barrels per day starting this October, a move that may put further upward pressure on gasoline prices. Even before the group's decision, gas prices had already started ticking up across the nation after briefly declining again, and the national average gas price stood at $3.89 as of Friday, up from $3.80 from the week before. Illinois residents have just 8 days left to claim this $700 check, everybody. The tax rebates are part of the state's family plan. It was introduced by a bill from the state senator, and it was who passed the legislature earlier this year. The bill sets aside millions of dollars for those who filed their taxes in 2021 to help with the increased costs caused by the crisis and rising inflation. The senator told reporters that from crisis losses to the increased cost of living, White House conference, and Joe Biden also said, that's why my national strategy calls on Congress to expand the child credit permanently. We'll get it done more this time. And recently released census data shows that credit expansion has helped reduce child poverty by more than 40%. That prompted Democratic lawmakers like Michael Bennet of Colorado, Sherrod Brown of Ohio, and Cory Booker of New Jersey to call for extending the enhanced credit before the year ends. The post-election period, everybody, could be a key opportunity for revisiting the proposal. It's a more optimism time compared to last year, as lawmakers are at a year-end tax deal to revisit corporate tax cuts put in place in 2017. Advocates hope an enhanced child tax credit can be included in that package. And Brown said in a recent interview, no more tax breaks for big corporations and the wealthy unless the child tax credit is with it. According to Elaine Magg, an expert at the Urban Bookings Tax Policy Center, there were the few key features behind the success of the 2021 credit, in addition to the higher credit amounts that monthly payments. And now, the credit was made fully refundable. That made it possible for low-income households to access the full credit. Plus, don't forget about this, everybody. Experts say that when lawmakers negotiate on new terms, an enhanced child tax credit may not be as generous as the 2021 crisis-era relief. Now, child poverty is poised to increase relative to last year. Economists have said that Congress had a real choice on whether or not to take action and stern some of the rise in poverty, and the work requirements may be a sticking point in the negotiations between the two parties. Over the past few months, Mitt Romney has pushed for a Republican-friendly version of this. It came after both the House and the Senate passed a bill to take back Biden's debt relief that the president ultimately vetoed. So while Biden has announced a new plan to get borrowers relief during a different law, it's called the Higher Education Act, many Republican lawmakers don't even want to actually be carried on this. Biden acknowledged that delivering relief through the Higher Education Act will take some time because it requires the policy to go through a negotiated rulemaking process, which includes hearings and public commitment. Still, payments are scheduled to resume in October, but still, with interest accruing a maximum monthly benefit. Older adults just worry that the payments that are currently receiving will be cut by a looming shortfall in the federal program. It's important to understand that old age survivors and disability insurance affects not just seniors but also workers who develop disabilities in families in which a spouse or parent dies. And because Social Security is funded through a payroll tax era, employers and employees each pay 6% of wages up to the taxable maximum of $160,000. The trustees of the Social Security and Medicare reported that more than money, according to what White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said. Now, the American Families Plan is expected to focus on policies including things like paid family leave, childcare, as well as free community college. In addition, everybody, the Biden administration is reportedly teeing up another massive economic spending package that will help millions of families across the country. Now, Joe Biden did already release the American Jobs Plan, which is a $2.25 trillion tax and spending initiative that would make investments in the nation's roads and bridges, as well as water systems, green energy, hospitals, and elder care. Also, folks, the newest measure is expected to call for roughly $1 trillion in new spending and about $500 billion in tax credits. Now, this new bill would also include an extension of the expanded child tax credit all the way to 2025, and this will reject a measure from some Democratic lawmakers to make the expansion permanent. Now, the $1.9 trillion relief package passed in March authorized $3,000 for every dependent ages 6 to 17 and $3,600 for every dependent under age 6. But there are multiple issues with this, everybody. But folks, there's a lot of problems with this proposal. Republicans have already criticized the size and scope of Joe Biden's $2.25 trillion proposal. Multiple Republican senators slammed Biden's push to raise the corporate tax rate from 28% to 28% from 21%, and they called it a non-negotiable red line. But guys, the good news is this. Joe Biden said Monday that he's prepared to compromise ahead of a White House meeting with a bipartisan group of lawmakers. If I can help the country, and if they want to play politics and play party politics, shame on them. Manchin added it was so wrong of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky to issue warnings to sink the bipartisan legislation, which would only boost the federal investment on emerging technologies like computer chips. The Kentucky Republican reiterated the ultimatum and tied to recent Democratic efforts to pass Biden's economic agenda. And during a speech on the Senate floor, McConnell said, "Party line scheming is going to crowd that out. Our side cannot agree to frantically steamroll through bipartisan talks in order to meet a timeline, so our Democratic colleagues can clear the decks to ram through a party line tax hike." McConnell warned and wanted to sink the bill as Democrats make progress towards clinching a deal with Manchin on a climate and tax economic spending package. But a spokesperson for Chuck Schumer said last week that Democrats plan to convene an all-senators classified briefing for the bipartisan bill. Republicans